Hey there, this is Psych Monkey 911 again, coming to you with my first actual video. Hopefully, provides some information that you find helpful. Um, Today, we're going to talk about, well, before we get that started here, just to prove it's me. For those of you who watched that silly, goofy little intro, there's my monkey head. Um, Today, we're going to talk about the three E's. Okay, so when you think about anything, stress, distress, duress, trauma, even just life experiences in general, think the three E's. Okay, I'm still working on getting used to that camera up there. All right, so here's what the three E's are, and we'll talk about them in a few minutes, but I'll lay them out for you first. Event, experience, and effect. All right, do that again. So the three E's: event, experience, and effect. Okay, so hopefully that's obvious vocabulary, but we'll hit it just in case. So the event is anything in time or space that occurs. Okay, that's the event. The event could be a thought. The event could be a game. The event could be a movie. The event could be a family situation. The event could be the current pandemic, COVID-19 coronavirus that we find ourselves in. So when the historians want us to look up what the heck they were talking about for the current event. So I believe that event can be defined as anything external or internal. Okay, so again, let's do that one more time. The event may well be something like a game or a family situation or a pandemic, but the event could also be the thoughts you're having. Okay, now we'll get deeper into that in another video, but so the first E is the event. Okay, so that's important. All right, each of us enters these events differently, which leads us into experience. Why can two people go into the same event but come away with different feelings and thoughts about that event? Because we're human beings, we have a very personal, subjective experience with every event that occurs within our awareness. Notice I said within our awareness, because there can be events that we are obtuse to, that we don't have a clue. And that's not necessarily a bad thing in every respect. But for those events for which we have an awareness, we come away from that event with an experience. And quite frankly, even before you come away from it, you're having an experience. The hoity-toity talk in trauma literature is post-traumatic, okay? Not to assume that every event or experience with an event is traumatic, but I like the hoity-toity prefix of para-traumatic. Para-traumatic typically means that you're already having an experience right before, during, and after. Now, some of you might say, how can I have an experience before an event? Well, depends on how deep you want to get into this conversation about the mind, the conscious, subconscious, all that. There's research out there to show that our awareness far outreaches our awareness of our awareness. All right, how's that for gobbledygook? For all you geek psych heads out there, that would be called metacognition, being aware that you're aware. Okay, again, separate video training series. We're going to stick with the simplistic understanding of the three E's. So we have the event, which can be internal or external. We have the experience, which is very personal, very subjective. Okay, but why is it very personal? Why is it subjective? It's very personal and subjective, going all the way back to our wiring, our DNA coding, what genetics have been shared with us. But more importantly, it's the interaction of all that with our life experiences as we've grown up, okay? So someone who is 2 versus 22 versus 52, they're gonna have different experiences. They're gonna have different recollections. Another way of saying this is they're gonna have different frames of reference, okay? I understand the idea of skateboarding, but I would not for the life of me get on a skateboard and try it. Okay. My experience is much more removed. Okay. My skill set is definitely much more removed. Your experience of any event is subject to your own personal learning curve, your own personal biases. Why do I think I wouldn't enjoy one sport versus another? Might be because I didn't enjoy the first sport I tried. Okay. Why would I think that all adults are a certain way? Well, because maybe all the adults in my past life have been that way, okay? Which brings us to the point, you gotta be careful what baggage you're carrying forward, okay? You gotta be careful. Some experience is helpful, healthy, some experience is not. We have to start becoming a very critical, discerning customer. Think of it as if you had every controller, video game, bauble, however old you are, whatever you collect, um, or if you had every item of food that you'd ever eaten or what have you. If you carry all those experiences, after a while, it's going to be unrealistic to continue forward with those, which means then that that baggage is holding you back. Okay. And again, we can talk about that some other time in a different video on carryover, carry in, etc. Okay. But for now, keeping it simple on the 3 E's: event, internal or external; experience with that event, very personal, very subjective; and the final E, the effect. Okay. Now, I've already sort of alluded to the effect or how the effect comes to being or what influences it. It all goes back to you. You and I can walk into the same situation. Okay. It's the same argument as how two people go into war, but only one comes back with post-traumatic stress. All right. So we can walk into the same situation, but come out with very different effects. Okay. Friend of mine who is just second to none impressive, Vietnam vet, was the real deal. Made Rambo honestly look like a sissy. Okay. Um, Not a braggart, not arrogant. Um, he just, honest to God, one of the most humble, impressive people I've ever met. He talks about how they all came back with PTS, you know, the term PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. He said they all came back with PTS, but only some guys got the D. You know, he likes to say he came back with PTS because, in my impression, I don't think he's ever going to forget, you know, and how could you? It's like computer programming, at least in the old days when the computers worked on reels of tape. So for those computer geeks out there, you know what I'm talking about. My stepdad was a computer comptroller when they were floor to ceiling and as big as file cabinets. Once you imprinted something on that tape, it was hard to get rid of that, short of burning that tape. So anyway, the effect depends on your makeup as a person. And I'm not talking about the stuff you put on to make yourself pretty with your boys, girls, whatever. I'm not talking about how you do your hair, although I'm trying to figure out how to get my hair to be. I'm not talking about how you dress, none of that stuff, okay? This is not the facade that we put on every day. This is the internal makeup, the genetic makeup, the coding that I've got handed down for me from my ancestors, combined with interacting with my life experiences, okay? It's why some people have positive and some people have negative experiences with the same event, okay? The effect is a combination of your makeup and your frames of reference. So that's your internal and your external life experience, okay? Why are the 3 E's important to remember? The 3 E's are very important to remember because it can keep you grounded. And that'll lead us into the next video where we start to discuss, actually a couple videos from now, where we start to discuss mindfulness. Okay, we'll get into that deeper in another video. The 3 E's are very helpful to keep you realistic, all right? To try and help you be objective with a very subjective or personal thing. And that thing being anything you experience. Anything you experience is personal, it's subjective. And there is neither right nor wrong. There is compatible, there's desirable, there's incompatible, undesirable, there's functional, there's debilitating. But right and wrong are value words that we throw on things, okay? The event is what it is, or is what it was, okay? The experience. You'll find that typically the recollection of that experience changes over time. It changes because the effect changes. So when it initially happened, the experience is going to be something different than 20 years from now after you have more life experience. That life experience, that other experience is like a math equation getting added to this, okay? It changes the effect. It changes some of the memory recall, okay? We'll get into that in a different video. So for now, think about the 3 E's. Think about what it means to you. I'd love to hear from you. Give me some event, good, bad, or otherwise. Give me the experience you had with that event and the effect, how the feelings and thoughts you walked away with. Okay. I'll talk to you again. All right. Have a good one. Bye.